Hey there, I'm King 5 meteorologist Ashley Ruiz on this Tuesday, December 23rd to get you ready for the holidays the next couple of days. It's going to be a pretty sloppy holiday week as we head into Christmas Eve as well as Christmas Day and potentially into the weekend, depending on where you live. We're going to focus on Western Washington, but I wanted to start zoomed out, show you the big picture of what's going on right now. Ongoing heavy rain continues over Northern California. There's going to be this area of low pressure that develops offshore, and a little piece of energy is going to move to the north, eventually up into Western Washington. This would be an area of low pressure, and depending on its track and its strength, by the time it reaches Western Washington, it could bring us potentially some really strong wind gusts. And I'm going to break this all down for you in full detail, so buckle up. We have a lot to talk about, and this is where I'm going to be able to take a deeper dive into the forecast. And so we'll take it day by day and talk about impacts that we could see here in Western Washington. Today, it's going to be quiet. We could have a couple of isolated showers, a couple of light mountain snow showers, snow levels about 1,500 feet, maybe 2,000 feet. Take advantage of today if you have to go shopping, you have to travel, or even secure your holiday decorations, because tomorrow has a pretty decent chance to be quite gusty, windy even, and it could impact a good portion of Western Washington. Again, it's dependent on what happens with that system. But we've gone ahead and issued a first alert weather day for Wednesday, Christmas Eve, and this is going to be more so morning and into the afternoon. Our main concern will be wind. If and when this area of low pressure develops, and depending on its track, our rain chances are going to be there. We're not expecting heavy rain or even heavy mountain snow. It's really going to be the wind. And if it's going to be a weaker system, then it will just be our typical winter weather pattern where we get showers and a little bit of wind. Our snow levels, however, are expected to come up a little bit, about 5,000 feet, but don't let that scare you by any means. I know with the atmospheric river, we had really high snow levels. This would be very brief. So we could have a rain and snow mix at some of our passes, but snow levels will come back down. Christmas Day, we are going to have passing showers, mountain snow showers. The greatest chance for us to get several inches of snow at, say, Snoqualmie Pass and some of the lower ski resorts, and even the higher ones over the central and southern Cascades, will be Christmas and then potentially into Friday. However, heading into the weekend, we may not have a lot of moisture in place, so that would lead to a drier weather pattern heading into the weekend, but still the chance for some mountain snow. So let's unpack all of this. Again, we've issued a first alert weather day for Wednesday. It's not a guarantee, but possible strong winds on Christmas Eve. I'm sure you've heard about it on social media. It's everywhere that there's a potential for a windstorm on Christmas Eve. But once again, the strength of the winds ultimately depends on the track of the low pressure system that's moving in from the south. That's currently starting to get its act together over California, Northern California, and offshore. This would impact most of Western Washington, again, depending on the track. We're expecting potentially 2 rounds of strong winds. The first round, we would have east to northeasterly winds. That would be the weaker round. If we get some of these easterly winds, the Cascadia gap winds, and that could impact the Cascade foothills. Those winds could accelerate maybe 40, 50 miles per hour, the wind gust. And eventually we're going to get a very quick wind shift out of the south. It's really going to be fast. You'll notice it as this low lifts to the north, and that's when it would impact more areas, and that's when we could have stronger winds. But again, we would see that quick shift, and then the winds would quickly taper from south to north as this low moves into British Columbia and continues to weaken. As for the impacts, again, this is if we get that windstorm. possible downed trees, power lines, power outages, and of course difficult travel. We're still expecting rain with this and a little bit of mountain snow, but it's really the wind that we're more concerned about, if anything, because especially with our saturated soils, it may not take much for trees to come down, power lines, and so on and so forth. The National Weather Service out of Seattle issued a high wind watch in place, you see, for the darker shading colors of the brown, 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. Wednesday. This includes the entire I-5 corridor all the way up to the Canadian border, includes the islands as well, and it looks as though they've extended it more west to include the coast as well. And so that just goes to tell us that the probabilities of seeing stronger wind gusts, it's increasing. Still not a total slam dunk forecast, but the potential will be there. As I mentioned, round 2 would be the stronger of the two, and it would impact more areas. We would get southerly winds sustained 25 to 35 miles per hour, but we could have gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. Let's talk about why we're not as confident with this particular system. And I'll show you what some of the models were showing. It really is comical at this point, that the just night and day difference. But this is our in-house model. This is called the graph, and it's been showing pretty consistently of us getting winds at least 40 miles per hour. And so what's going to happen, as I mentioned, a low developing, and it would ride up the coast, eventually moving over western Washington. Now, with this particular run, it moves right along the coast or just to the west of Seattle, give or take, of course, looking at the broader picture. But if it were to stay on this track, we would have more widespread strong wind gust. Now, this brings it into British Columbia, 5 p.m., 6 o'clock tomorrow, and then things settle on down. It really would be a quick moving system. Now, if it moves more to the east, we wouldn't have to really worry about wind. It would be much weaker as well. So once again, this is our in-house model, and don't take this as gospel of, oh, at 10 a.m. Enumclaw could have a wind gust of 41. Just use it as kind of guidance for yourself as well. Where you see this purple color, the purple shading color, that is the 40 mile per hour or greater range. So again, this is just showing what could happen based off of that one track I was showing you. This is the afternoon. So first, again, we would get those gap winds late morning into about maybe 1 o'clock or so, and then a quick wind shift out of the south. So we'd get stronger winds moving from south to north. Here's 5 o'clock. You see how we get more wind gust over 30, 40, maybe up to 50 miles per hour? Watch how quickly winds subside. There you have it, 8 o'clock. Wind gusts are back down to maybe 10, 15 miles per hour. So they're going to taper from south to north. But if it goes on this track more to the west of us, maybe along the coast, if it's a little stronger, then we would have these stronger winds, greater chance for us to get power outages, which obviously is not ideal in any given situation, but with the holidays as well. This is what I was talking about, just model whiplash going all over the place. And when we're building our forecasts, we look at model runs, we watch for any consistencies or any patterns. And at this point, the patterns are all over the place. But now that we're closer, we're getting a better feel of what could happen with this, especially once we get it organizing. So the European model, you may be familiar with this. Again, almost comical, because this time yesterday it was showing the potential for 70 mile per hour winds. With the latest runs and the ensemble, so a bunch of model runs together, taking that average, It was, at least as of this morning, showing the potential, the lowlands getting 25 plus mile per hour winds. The timing has been very consistent. It's just the magnitude of the winds. One of the other high resolution models showing the potential for 35 to 40 plus mile per hour winds. And then that our in-house model that I showed you, that was the strongest outcome. So again, it all depends on the track of this system. Again, it's not a guarantee that we're going to have a windstorm. We're just alerting you that the potential is there. So we've gone ahead, issued that first alert weather day. It doesn't help that it is Christmas Eve. A lot of people traveling. Maybe you're making some last minute shopping or whatever you may have planned, going to church services. This could impact you. But as I mentioned, this would be a morning and afternoon deal. But if you live farther north, closer to the Canadian border, this could be the evening as well. But overnight, we're quiet. Into our Thursday, so Christmas Day, we'll have some passing showers. The timing's still a bit iffy, but again, another wave of that energy would likely move in from the north, but still not going to be super impactful. Our mornings will get cooler as well. There is the chance late Friday and into Saturday, snow levels could come down to about maybe 1,000, 1,500 feet. And if we have enough precipitation or enough moisture in place, could have some maybe flurries or a rain and maybe snow mix, wet snow mix at some of the higher hilltops, maybe 1,000 feet or so. So don't be surprised about that, but we're not expecting impactful snow in the lowlands. If you want a guaranteed white Christmas, the mountains will be your best bet. I wanted to show you around Western Washington just to show you how our Tuesday's looking like. It's gray, but most of us are dry, and up in the mountains we have a winter wonderland. Can't really see the mountain off in the distance, but we can sure see the Space Needle, and I imagine things are going to get very busy, but once again, take advantage of the quiet weather today. Highs will be in the 40s. We actually had a good amount of the area right at freezing this morning, if not below freezing. Some may even had some freezing fog. Tonight, temperatures will dip down to the mid and upper 30s. Also, winds will start to pick up out of the north, maybe 10, 15 miles per hour. And once again, Wednesday, that's our first alert weather day. Later in the morning into at least early evening, depends on where you live. Afternoon, mid-afternoon, south areas, things settle on down. We'll get rain with this. It's not just the wind, it's just not going to be super impactful. We're not expecting any heavy torrential rain to fill our rivers or anything like that. Let's take you hour by hour on the futurecast. This is tonight, so 9, 10 o'clock or so. We get one wave of precipitation, and you see it's falling as snow over the South Cascades and then the eastern slopes of the Cascades as well. That's one wave of precipitation, but west of the Cascades, here's overnight. You see the time right there. So after midnight, 3, 4, 5 o'clock or so, we get one wave of very light rain, maybe even some sun breaks in the mix after sunrise, given the fact that it's almost 8 o'clock for our sunrise now. Into the mid-morning hours, you see how we get one little batch of light showers. The heaviest rain would come with that low as it moves up, either up the coast over Western Washington or more to the east. But you see how quickly it moves in and out of here. Here's 3 o'clock. Southern areas are mostly dry except maybe a couple of lingering light showers. And then into overnight hours, going to be rather quiet, just chilly. Then we get into Thursday, Christmas morning. You see this is around 6:30 or so, just a few passing showers. We could get one little batch of rain about afternoon, evening on Christmas Day, and maybe that rain and snow mix, but not going to be anything super impactful. Then we get into Friday and into Saturday. There is a better chance for us to get some more inches of snow in the mountains. I'll show you in a minute. But rain totals, this is through Friday around 8 o'clock or so. You see it's pretty minimal. Even with some potential quick downpours, not expecting much. We're not talking inches upon inches of rain with this. That's why I keep stressing this is more of a wind event, if anything. Snow levels, now that we can talk about the mountains, around 2,000 feet or so today, coming up to about 5,000 feet Wednesday, and I mentioned it was brief. Then we get into Christmas Day down to about 3,000 feet. Friday into Saturday, that's when we could have the potential for maybe some of those flurries. Some models are showing it, but as we well know, snow levels can come down. If we have any precipitation, we could easily see a little bit of maybe minor accumulations for northern zones. Sunday and into Monday, snow levels will start to come up. Through Friday evening, this is showing the potential for maybe 5, I would say 10 inches of snow. At the higher elevations, obviously we'd get more, especially Mount Baker, potentially 1.5 feet of fresh snow on top of all the snow we've already had. Mount Baker has already picked up over 3 feet of snow just in a couple of days. And then the rest of our passes that are open, White Pass, close to 6 inches. So as you see, it's not going to be a big snowmaker by any means, but I wanted to show you our King 5 camera at Snoqualmie Pass. You see people are driving smoothly. Check WashDOT as always. If you are going to go through Snoqualmie Pass, remember Stevens Pass is closed until further notice. Pass travel this week. So today, as I mentioned, some morning freezing fog. We likely had that. Some light snow showers, and then tomorrow rain and snow mix. I mentioned it's not going to be heavy. Christmas Day, increasing snow at times, snow level around 3,000 feet. And then Friday, also the chance for some accumulating and falling snow. If you're not staying in town, you're just traveling. If you want some super warm weather, the South, of course, even Denver. This is for Christmas Eve, by the way. Denver, 70 degrees. It's going to be very warm, very balmy. Memphis, 74, and then Tampa, 80 degrees, 79 in Miami. Christmas Day, 82 in Houston. 82, wow. The South just known for that. Meanwhile, we're on the cool side, but seasonal, and then up toward the upper Midwest, upper 30s, lower 40s, and then all the way up the East Coast. It's a nice little gradient, 80 to 50s, 40s, and then 30s. Again, here's to wrap everything up with a bow. Remember, if you are watching this later, this is recorded at 10 a.m. Tuesday morning. We don't have a lot of newscasts, so you're likely watching this on King 5 Plus or our YouTube page. You can always find the latest on king5.com as well, and Adam will have a deeper dive into the forecast as well. So again, first alert weather day tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. We'll have rain around at times, nothing too heavy. Over the weekend, highs will be in the 40s, lows will be in the 30s. So once again, we want to stress that this is not a guarantee that we're going to have this intense windstorm, but the potential is definitely there. And even if wind gusts don't hit that 60 mile per hour threshold, it might not take much for any downed trees, power lines, power outages. So just use this as a heads up and make sure you charge any of your devices if you can. Bring in some of the outdoor furniture or decorations. Make sure they are just secure, and just keep in mind that if you live in a heavily wooded area, this could also impact you as well. We'll keep you posted on air and online, and we'll talk soon.